Warning, I chain smoke and I say fuck a lot, but I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised.
First of all, I want to say everything I used is public knowledge and public sourced. Newspaper clippings, social media, stuff that anybody can see. It's just an interesting case, and they seem to have disappeared. And again, I want to thank Benz Murictoft, Majestic Angel, The Unknown Observer, who has a YouTube page. It's pretty good. You should check him out. I'll leave a link. From the Tallahassee Democrat, Thursday, February 19, 1987. Marion D. Petty, the mysterious founder of the Finders, is said to be in India, but purportedly says in a memo to reporters to have resigned as the group's leader, quote, to devote myself full-time to Zen walking. Like Kung Fu? The unsigned one-page memo from MD Petty was hand-delivered Wednesday. Here is the text of the letter. I didn't know that I was the leader of the Finders. I thought I was just a consultant on wit and humor. If I ever was a leader, I hereby resign to devote myself full-time to Zen walking, and I recommend that the Finders hold an election as soon as possible. The brief message raised more questions about Petty, who is often called the Stroller by followers because his love of walking. Family members and followers say Petty, 66, is a widely traveled retired Army Master Sergeant who leads his followers on elaborate game-playing exercises. Sounds like he's fucking crazy to me. The return address on the computer-printed message is given in care of Joseph Chilton Pierce in some made-up place in India. So Douglas Ammerman, 27, his father, Clarence Ammerman, a University of Florida agriculture professor for 29 years, traveled from Gainesville to testify that he believed his son would show up for court. James Francis Howell, a high school math teacher from Long Island, New York, described a bright son who joined the Army Reserve in 1984. I know Michael to be someone who keeps his word, the father testified, and pulled out a pocket-sized album of photographs, anxious to show the judge his son in a less incriminating light.
Look at my kids!
But when asked, neither father was willing or able to post any of their property towards their son's release, leaving the prosecutor to later comment that not even family wants to gamble on these two. One father's testimony didn't reflect the closest of family ties, as Clarence Ammerman testified, well, we didn't see a lot of Doug since he finished high school. We haven't had much contact in the past 4 years. But Clarence Ammerman and his wife Beatrice testified their son showed up on January 20th at their Gainesville home with a little boy, almost 3 years old, announcing he was their grandchild. During that 1-hour surprise visit, the Ammermans described the toddler as healthy and clean. Later, when the big story broke of the arrest of 2 men in coat and tie in the company of 6 scruffy children, the Ammermans said they heard from Ed and Tommy Simmons, farmers in nearby Archer. The Simmons told the Ammermans, a lot of M's in these people's names, that shortly before their Tallahassee arrest, Doug Ammerman and Michael Howell and 6 healthy-looking children had been camping on the Simmons farm. Meanwhile, testimony from 2 women who say they're the mothers of 3 of the children, Patricia Livingstone, it's actually Livingstone, this one got it wrong, and Paula Errico, unearthed a few more details of the shared parenting style of the Washington, D.C. based Finders community. Asked if they gave permission for a trip all the way to Mexico, the destination the defendants gave police, both mothers insisted they had total faith in the men, no matter how far away they traveled. And Errico, who named her 7-year-old girl Jordan, but lets the child call herself Mary, testified that rather than enroll her to school, she educates her daughter at home. Errico's other child, 2-year-old John Paul, also was on the trip. I felt a need to separate from him, Errico testified. The officer, Judy Sachoki, recounted the afternoon of the arrest. She described all 6 children, ranging in age from 2 to 7, as dirty, bug-bitten, with scratched legs, wearing no underwear, mismatched socks, and hungry. The oldest, Mary, aka Jordan, was peeling oranges for the smaller children, and a strong odor of urine wasted from the blankets in the van, the officer testified. Ammerman first identified himself as Kenny Rogers. Should have came up with something more original. And Hallwell goes into a trance when questioned. And the mother with the two kids, Mary, aka Jordan, and John Paul, Paula Errico. Paula Errico Ferrasi, October 26 at 6:06 p.m. Heads up and FYI. Apparently there has been a data dump by the FBI pertaining to the 1987 events that involved my group at the time, the so-called Finders. I don't see anything new, except the usual vitriolic responses by idiots who are always looking for a new way to bash someone. Lots of Twitter junk. I'm sure there will be more. So I just received a phone call from a reporter asking for a statement. I said it was all trumped up stuff at that time and there is nothing new since. And I made a decision not to publicly name or show any of the kids' Facebook pages that I found, but I did confirm this one, and I found her son too. If you check out her website for Seekers and Settlers, aka the Messy Hair Commune, an international community in Tallahassee, Florida. If you are seeking a community free of dogma and social constraints, then this might be the place for you. But then again, it might not be. Seekers and Settlers, SANS, is a communal household of 2.5 acres of wooded land 10 miles south of Tallahassee, Florida, in a neighborhood where a number of friends bought land homes near each other in order to have a land co-op type of arrangement. About 20 families get together regularly for potluck dinners, to play music, go swimming, or to do work projects. Older community directories have this area listed as Woodville Grapevine, but we call it Spiral Garden. Tallahassee also has several other true land co-ops, a large food co-op, alternative schools, and a strong alternative community. As Seekers and Settlers, we're looking to form a growing communal household with those who have some skills, an above average sensibility about life, and need to try something different. We're pretty laid back and like to maintain a certain casual yet steady pace. We want life to be as stress-free and creative as possible. But if you're looking for a place to loaf, look elsewhere. We've got work to do. We welcome visits by anyone serious about living in a community or experienced community members who think SANS might be the right one for them. But please do not bother contacting if A, you haven't checked out all of our links, B, you're looking for a typical community, C, you plan to arrive with no money, no food, and a broken car, D, you don't like our sense of humor. Paula is a brave soul responsible for opening her land and house to this experiment. Who in the right mind would do such a thing? Well, you can read her story yourself. Paula's story. One of my ideas for our community is Wanderers and Settlers, a base for those who want to spend some of their time traveling, but also want a home where they can come to recenter and refresh themselves. Ultimately, I want to be free to do the same, wander to other places, knowing that all will be cared for by those who are the current settlers. Plus, I have other ideas for supporting those of us who wish to perform right livelihood and work out of our home or work and travel. I have lived in international communities most of my adult life, and I want to live in a community for the rest of my life. I have worked on creating an international community on my land for several years, experimenting with living co-opportunity with friends. I want more visitors from the USA and from all around the planet who are interested in learning about community living, or who are working to create peace and justice on our planet. I envision using my house and land to shelter an ever-changing and evolving group of like-minded folks. And from her, you can connect to one of her friends, Carolyn Said, staff writer at the San Francisco Chronicle, on here or Twitter, where she has a check mark. Although I have not been able to confirm her son, BB, and he's one that I haven't been able to find yet, but it probably wasn't his real name anyway. And from Paula's page, we can also find her ex-husband and father of one of her kids, John Paul. If we type in Holwell, we find a Merlin Michael Holwell. And it looks just like an older version of James Michael Holwell. And it is, I've confirmed it. And he is also self-employed. Merlin's Magic Touch. What the fuck? And I was also able to find Kristen Noth, owner-partner of Foresight Alliance, an innovative consultant firm that applies foresight, strategy, and research to build organizations' resilience in today's increasingly complex and fast-changing environment. We expand our clients' perspective and extend their thinking via our suite of customized services, research, and analysis in years of experience. It's a consulting agency. And I'm pretty sure I confirmed her son, Benjamin. The only ones I haven't been able to find is Patricia Livingstone, which I found her. I found her address and all that, but I can't find any social media on her. And I found her son. He seems to be doing fine too, Max. I also haven't been able to confirm Judy Evans, or her daughter, Honeybee Evans. So when I tried to find the finders, that's what I found. Fucking stoned.